Locked with Key Cybersecurity News Report, February 11, 2026. Disclaimer: this content is for informational purposes only. It is not legal, medical, financial, or official advice. Do not treat anecdotal stories, breach reports, or security commentary as guidance. Always consult qualified professionals for decisions involving cybersecurity, compliance, or risk. Report Overview. 1. Major U.S. healthcare network hit by ransomware. A coordinated ransomware attack disrupted operations across 14 hospitals and 120 outpatient clinics in the Midwest. Attackers used a modified Lockbit 3.0 variant despite the gang's takedown in 2024. Electronic health records were taken offline, emergency rooms diverted patients for 9 hours. The group claims to have 2.3 terabytes of patient data, though verification is ongoing. 2. Microsoft warns of new state-aligned cloud intrusions. Microsoft Threat Intelligence reported a surge in cloud credential stuffing attacks targeting Azure, AWS, and GCP tenants. The campaign, attributed to a nation-state actor, uses residential proxy networks to bypass geofencing. Attackers focus on service principals, not user accounts, a shift that bypasses MFA. Microsoft urges organizations to rotate secrets and audit stale app registrations. 3. TikTok zero-day exploit circulates on dark web. A previously unknown remote code execution, RC, flaw affecting Android TikTok builds, v34.2-35.1, is being sold for $120,000. The exploit allows attackers to hijack accounts via malicious video payloads. TikTok has not yet issued a patch but confirmed an investigation is underway. 4. Cisco releases emergency patch for ASA and Firepower. Cisco issued a critical patch for CV2026111902, a remote authentication bypass affecting ASA and Firepower threat defense appliances. Exploits are already being used in the wild. The vulnerability allows full device takeover without credentials. 5. Viral product of the day, Flipper's Zero Wi-Fi Dev Board. A new third-party Wi-Fi dev board for Flipper Zero is trending after a viral penetration testing demo. Retail price, $29. Resale price on eBay, $110 to $150 due to limited supply. Security researchers warned that the hype may attract inexperienced users into unsafe testing practices. 6. High-value resale item, YubiKey 5C NFC, discontinued batch. A discontinued manufacturing batch of YubiKey 5C NFC with the older chipset is reselling for 4 times retail. Reason: certain enterprise environments still require the older firmware for legacy SSO compatibility. Retail, $55. Current resale, $220 to $260. Cybersecurity News Roundup, February 11, 2026. 1. Midwest healthcare network crippled by ransomware attack. A major ransomware attack has disrupted operations across a large U.S. healthcare network in the Midwest, forcing 14 hospitals and 120 outpatient clinics offline. The incident, which impacted Kettering Health in Ohio, knocked electronic health record (EHR) systems down and prompted a 9-hour diversion of emergency patients to other hospitals. FierceHealthcare.com, FierceHealthcare.com, FierceHealthcare.com. Ransomware and impact: the attackers deployed a modified strain of Lockbit 3.0 ransomware, despite the core Lockbit gang being disrupted by law enforcement in early 2024. Patient care was severely affected, clinicians had to revert to paper processes as EHR and critical IT systems were inaccessible, elective procedures were cancelled, and ambulances were rerouted from Kettering's ERs until systems could be stabilized. The hospital's 15,000 staff and over 1,800 physicians were thrust into downtime procedures as digital systems failed. Justice.gov, FierceHealthcare.com. Data theft claims: the hacking group claims to have stolen 2.3 terabytes of sensitive data, allegedly including patient records, financial files, pharmacy and lab documents, and even employee identity scans. For comparison, in a 2025 breach of the same network, 941 gigabytes of data, nearly 1 million documents, were confirmed stolen by the Interlock ransomware group. Investigators are still verifying the actual scope of the data exfiltration. Bleepingcomputer.com. Lockbit connection, Lockbit 3.0, Lockbit Black, was one of the world's most prolific ransomware strains, but an international operation dismantled the gang's infrastructure in February 2024. How, then, was a Lockbit-based attack still possible? Security experts note that the builder for Lockbit's encryptor was leaked by a disgruntled insider in late 2022, enabling any criminal group to create new ransomware variants from Lockbit's code. This attack suggests an unaffiliated threat actor repurposed Lockbit's leaked ransomware-as-a-service toolset to target the hospital network. Justice.gov, bleepingcomputer.com, bleepingcomputer.com. Response and recovery. Kettering Health implemented emergency incident response plans, reverting to manual backups for life-critical systems and engaging federal authorities. Within days, core services like the EHR system were restored for clinicians, and temporary call center solutions were set up for patients. Law enforcement agencies and federal cybersecurity teams are investigating the breach. The FBI, HHS, and CISA have repeatedly warned that healthcare remains a top ransomware target and have urged hospitals to harden network defenses and drill cyber incident response. Kettering Health has not publicly confirmed the ransom demand or whether any payment will be made. In similar past cases, threat actors have threatened to leak patient data if ransoms were not paid, a tactic likely in play here as well. Bleepingcomputer.com, fiercehealthcare.com. 2. Microsoft warns of nation-state cloud credential stuffing blitz. Microsoft's Threat Intelligence Unit is sounding the alarm on a surge of credential stuffing attacks targeting cloud service tenants, including Azure AD, AWS, and Google Workspace, by a likely state-aligned hacking group. The campaign uses large-scale password spray attempts via residential proxy networks to disguise the attacker's origin and bypass IP-based geofencing or region locks. In contrast to typical cloud account attacks focusing on user login credentials, this wave targets non-human accounts, specifically Cloud Application Service Principals, to evade multi-factor authentication, MFA, and persist undetected. Microsoft.com, Microsoft.com. Tactics, service principal abuse. In cloud environments, service principals, application identities with secret keys or certificates, often have high privileges. Microsoft reports that the adversary is systematically trying stolen or common credentials against service principal accounts rather than human user accounts, since service principals aren't protected by MFA and frequently have long-lived credentials. This marks a dangerous shift in identity-based attacks. Traditional MFA and password reset policies may be bypassed if attackers can compromise an app's secret key instead of a user's password. According to Microsoft, over 60% of recent cloud attacks involve abusing identity credentials, with a growing focus on these headless accounts that persist beyond password changes and are often less monitored. CMD0.io. Low and slow evasion. The threat actor is using botnets of residential IP addresses to avoid detection, distributing login attempts across a wide range of IPs and keeping the frequency per account low enough to fly under account lockout thresholds and security radar. This stealthy approach makes traditional detection methods, which often rely on recognizing rapid-fire failures from the same IP, much less effective. By blending malicious traffic with legitimate-looking login attempts from around the globe, the attackers aim to remain undetected while they systematically guess weak passwords. Zscaler.com. Potential impact. Cloud service accounts, especially those of service principals and automation accounts, are attractive targets because they can access sensitive data and services across an organization's cloud environment. A successful compromise could grant wide access to cloud resources, data stores, or email accounts. Microsoft notes that one such attack, attributed to the Russian state-sponsored group Midnight Blizzard, APT29, successfully infiltrated Microsoft's own corporate environment in 2024 by exploiting a forgotten test application with no MFA, ultimately leading to unauthorized email access. Zscaler.com, Zscaler.com, CMD0.io, CMD0.io. Mitigation guidance. Microsoft is urging organizations to implement robust cloud identity defenses to counter this campaign. Recommendations include rotating and securely storing credentials, secrets, certificates, for application/service principal accounts, and auditing all active app registrations to remove or update any stale entries or overly privileged ghost applications no longer in use. Conditional access policies, for instance, restricting where service principal logins can originate, and improved monitoring of unfamiliar or impossible travel login patterns can help catch malicious sign-in attempts from proxy networks. Finally, enforcing least privilege on cloud identities, ensuring service principals only have the minimal permissions necessary, can limit the blast radius if one is compromised. Microsoft.com, Microsoft.com, Microsoft.com. 3. TikTok zero-day exploit on dark web, Android users at risk. A critical zero-day vulnerability in the TikTok Android app, versions 34.2 through 35.1, has been advertised for sale on the dark web for around $120,000, raising serious concerns about a potential remote code execution (RCE) attack against the popular social media platform. The exploit is said to allow attackers to hijack TikTok user accounts, and possibly the devices they run on, simply by tricking a target into viewing a malicious video. Exploit details: the zero-day reportedly resides in TikTok's video processing, enabling a crafted video file, possibly delivered via a TikTok direct message or as content in the feed, to execute arbitrary code on the victim's Android device. If legit, this kind of remote code execution via a malicious video could let an attacker hijack sessions and control the victim's TikTok account, allowing them to post content or exfiltrate private data as that user. No user interaction beyond viewing the video is needed, much like a prior TikTok zero-day discovered in 2024, where simply opening a booby-trapped direct message allowed hijacking of high-profile accounts. The exploit is being marketed on a cybercrime forum for $120,000, suggesting it's both potent and in demand among threat actors. CyberSecurityNews.com. Potential impact: with over 1 billion active users worldwide, TikTok is a high-value target. An RCE flaw in TikTok's app could compromise millions of devices if weaponized. Attackers could steal personal data, spread malware, or use hijacked accounts, especially those of influencers or official brand accounts, to distribute disinformation or malicious links. Security researchers liken this scenario to earlier social media exploits, for example, an August 2022 TikTok vulnerability, since patched, that would have allowed one-click account takeover of any victim's account. The availability of a working RCE against current TikTok versions therefore poses both cybersecurity and potential privacy threats at a global scale. Bleepingcomputer.com, Microsoft.com. TikTok's response: TikTok has acknowledged reports of the zero-day and says its security team is investigating and working on a fix. "We have taken measures to stop this attack and prevent it from happening in the future," a TikTok spokesperson told the press. The company has not yet released a patch at the time of writing, but it has reportedly initiated an emergency code review. Users of the Android app are urged to be cautious, avoid downloading strange videos or clicking on unsolicited links, and update the app as soon as a patch is issued. TikTok also recommended enabling two-factor authentication and provided takedown tools to any users who suspect their accounts have been compromised in the interim. Bleepingcomputer.com. Cisco issues emergency patch for critical ASA/FTD firewall flaw, CV2026119002. Cisco has rolled out a critical security update to address CVE 2026-11902, a severe vulnerability in its Adaptive Security Appliance, ASA, and Firepower Threat Defense, FTD, software. The flaw, a remote authentication bypass in the VPN web services of these firewall products, can allow attackers to gain full, unauthorized access to affected devices without any valid credentials. CyberSecurityNews.com. Active exploitation: the vulnerability was discovered amid real-world attacks. Cisco confirmed it as a zero-day that adversaries were actively exploiting in the wild prior to the patch. In these attacks, hackers leveraged the flaw to bypass login authentication and execute code on the targeted appliances, causing unexpected device reloads and service outages. In practice, a skilled attacker could completely take over a vulnerable firewall, potentially disabling an organization's network security or using the compromised firewall as a launchpad into the internal network. CyberSecurityNews.com. Technical context: security researchers found that the CVE 2026-11902 bug stems from the ASA/FTD's clientless VPN, WebVPN, component. By sending specially crafted HTTP requests to the device's web interface, attackers could trick the system into skipping authentication checks, path traversal. This opened a route to a second flaw, a buffer overflow in a file upload handler, enabling remote code execution, RCE, with root privileges on the device. The result was a two-stage attack chain granting complete control over the firewall. Notably, this method is similar to a pair of ASA vulnerabilities, CVE 2025-20362 and CVE 2025-20333, that were widely exploited by attackers in 2025. CyberSecurityNews.com, CyberSecurityNews.com, CyberSecurityNews.com. Patching and guidance. Cisco's patch is deemed urgent. Administrators are strongly advised to update all ASA and FTD devices immediately to the fixed software releases. In addition, Cisco recommends disabling VPN web services, like clientless web VPN, on any internet-facing ASA/FTD device if an immediate upgrade isn't possible. The company has released detailed indicators of compromise and a detection tool to help organizations identify any signs of past exploitation. The U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, has added the prior related CVEs to its known exploited vulnerabilities catalog and issued an emergency directive ordering federal agencies to take action to remediate vulnerable Cisco devices, underscoring the severity of the threat. CyberSecurityNews.com, Section Clouda, Cisco.com, Section Clouda, Cisco.com, CISA.gov. 5. Viral Flipper Zero Wi-Fi add-on drives hype and security concerns. The Flipper Zero, a popular $200 handheld cyber multi-tool, is at the center of a new security craze thanks to a third-party Wi-Fi development board that recently went viral in hacking demos in social media. The small board, built around an ESP32S2 microcontroller, can be attached to a Flipper Zero to unlock powerful wireless attack capabilities like Wi-Fi network scanning, deauthentication attacks, and rogue access point creation via custom Marauder firmware. Surging demand and scalping. The Wi-Fi dev board sells $4.29 at retail but has been perpetually sold out due to spiking demand. Enthusiasts have flocked to buy it after a viral proof of concept showed a Flipper Zero plus Wi-Fi board sniffing and injecting Wi-Fi traffic, essentially turning the toy-like device into a portable pen-testing tool. On forums, users report that resellers are now offering the boards for $100 plus, as high as $150, on sites like eBay, a markup of several %. The phenomenon is reminiscent of past gadget crazes, supply shortages fueling gray market prices. Security community reactions. While many pentesters and hobbyists are excited about the Flipper's expanded capabilities, security researchers caution that the hype is attracting less experienced users who may not fully understand the tool's legal and safety implications. The Flipper Zero, even in its stock form, can intercept and emulate radio signals from key fobs, RFID badges, and more, and the Wi-Fi add-on extends it into network hacking. Experts warn that novices inspired by flashy online demos might misuse these devices on real networks or IoT systems without permission, inadvertently breaking the law or disrupting services. In one advisory, state cybercrime units noted that viral videos show Flipper owners opening garage doors and unlocking cars, and reminded the public that testing security devices on anything other than their own systems or with explicit permission can lead to criminal charges. There's also concern that the device's popularity could make it a lure for scammers. Indeed, fake Flipper Zero product sites and phishing attacks have already been observed targeting the InfoSec community. Michigan.gov. 6. Discontinued YubiKey 5C NFC spurs secondary market price spike. The YubiKey 5C NFC, a USB-C hardware security key, is seeing an unexpected surge in resale value after a particular older model was discontinued by manufacturer Yubico. The YubiKey 5C NFC normally retails for around $55 to $58 per unit, but units from one out-of-production batch are now selling for $220 to $260 on e-commerce sites, roughly 4 times the original price. Reason for high demand: certain enterprises have found they still require the older version of the YubiKey 5C NFC due to legacy systems and software compatibility. In some corporate environments, critical authentication systems, such as older single sign-on, SSO, or VPN solutions, were integrated with the YubiKey 5C NFC's previous firmware/chip version. Because Yubico's latest YubiKey 5 series keys introduced firmware changes and older keys cannot be software upgraded, organizations with these legacy systems face a dilemma: update their infrastructure or track down the now scarce older keys. Many are choosing the latter in the short term, driving up prices. Background: the YubiKey 5C NFC is a small hardware token that provides multi-factor authentication via USB-C or NFC for services like enterprise logins, password managers, and cryptocurrency wallets. Yubico recently released new firmware, version 5.7, for the YubiKey 5 series with enhanced features and security improvements, but the new keys are not backward compatible with certain outdated systems. Because Yubico's firmware is not user upgradable on existing keys, companies that haven't modernized their identity systems may need the older model devices to ensure continuity. Security implications. Experts advise that relying on discontinued security hardware is not a sustainable strategy. Yubico's new YubiKey 5C NFC keys, current firmware, maintain the same price point, $55, and support all modern standards like FIDO2/WebAuthn, while older protocols, like the deprecated FIDO-U2F, are being phased out in 2025 to 2026. Organizations clinging to obsolete authentication tech face increasing cyber risks, as they may miss out on patched vulnerabilities and improved protections in the updated devices. The exorbitant resale prices for the older YubiKeys highlight the urgency for those enterprises to upgrade their underlying SSO or MFA systems, or risk both high costs and security exposure from using outdated tools. Community, Warden.com. Topic. Key details. Affected entities. Severity. Current status. Ransomware attack on U.S. healthcare network. Coordinated ransomware attack, Lockbit 3.0 variant, crippled a major health system, 14 hospitals, 120 clinics. EHR systems down, patients diverted, attackers claim 2.3 terabytes of data stolen, patient records, financial and identity data. Midwest Hospital Network, Kettering Health, 15,000 staff, 1.5 M plus patient records. Critical, medical services disrupted, potential massive HIPAA data breach. Systems being restored, investigation ongoing by FBI/HHS. No public confirmation of ransom payment, data theft claims under verification. Nation-state cloud credential attacks. Microsoft warns of state-aligned campaign brute-forcing cloud service accounts, Azure AD, AWS, GCP, via massive credential stuffing/password spraying. Attackers use residential proxy IPs to mask origin and target cloud app service principals to evade MFA. Major cloud service customers, enterprises on Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud. High-value cloud tenants, ESP those using legacy or misconfigured identity protections. Could lead to cloud tenant compromise, data theft, cloud service abuse if app credentials are cracked. Nation-state actors potentially involved. Ongoing. Microsoft has issued alerts and remediation guidance, reset/rotate app credentials, tighten conditional access, remove unused app accounts. No specific victim names disclosed. TikTok Android zero-day exploit for sale. Previously unknown remote code execution, RC, vulnerability in TikTok's Android app, v34.2-35.1, is being sold on the dark web for $120K. The exploit uses a malicious video to hijack devices and TikTok accounts, no user click needed. TikTok confirms it's investigating and working on a fix. TikTok Android app, global, 1B plus users. Users of vulnerable versions on Android, iOS not affected. Critical, full account takeover and potential device compromise. High risk for influence operations, hijacking popular accounts, and privacy breaches. No patch yet, TikTok's security team is actively addressing. Users are urged to be cautious with content and update app once a patch is available. Incident has not been observed in the wild yet, exploit being sold, not publicly released. Cisco ASA/FTD firewall vulnerability, CVE2026119002. Authentication bypass in Cisco's firewall software, ASA and FTD, allows unauthorized remote access and code execution. Exploited as a zero-day in attacks causing firewall reboots. Cisco pushed emergency patches and published workarounds. Cisco Secure Firewall Appliances, ASA 5500X series and firepower threat defense devices, with VPN/WebVPN enabled. Thousands of enterprise and government networks potentially exposed. Critical, network perimeter devices completely compromised without credentials, leading to potential full network breach. Added to CISA's known exploited vulnerabilities catalog. Patches released, ASA 9.16.4.19 plus and FTD updates. Administrators should apply updates immediately. If patching delayed, disable VPN web services as a temporary mitigation. Ongoing monitoring for further attack variants. Flipper's Zero Wi-Fi Dev Board Hype. A third-party Wi-Fi add-on board for the Flipper Zero pentesting gadget became a viral sensation. Retailing $4.29, it adds wireless hacking abilities, ESP32S2-based, Marauder firmware. Short supply and high demand led to resale prices of $100 or $150, 3 to 5 times markup, on eBay and forums as enthusiasts rush to obtain it. Flipper Zero owners, 20K plus devices sold globally. Pen testers, hobbyist hackers, also newcomers drawn by viral videos and social media demos. Medium, the device itself is a legitimate tool, but improper use can pose security and legal hazards. Experts worry untrained users may inadvertently engage in illegal hacking or unsafe RF interference. Manufacturers plan to increase production to meet demand, community discussions ongoing about ethical use. Security pros advise only using such tools on authorized targets and warn of potential criminal liability for misuse. YubiKey 5C NFC resale boom. Prices for a discontinued batch of YubiKey 5C NFC security keys have quadrupled. Originally $55 each, they sell for $220 plus amid shortage. Cause, some enterprises rely on the older firmware/chip for legacy single sign-on systems, making the auto-production keys highly sought after. Organizations using Yubico's YubiKey 5C NFC, USB-C plus NFC two-factor auth token, with legacy infrastructure, older OS or software that hasn't been updated for the latest YubiKey firmware. Low or moderate, no vulnerability, supply/demand issue. However, enterprises clinging to outdated auth hardware face security challenges, no firmware updates, weaker features, and may need to update systems. Yubico launched newer YubiKey 5 series devices with updated firmware and features, non-backward compatible. Affected enterprises must modernize their SSO/MFA solutions or secure remaining old keys until they can transition. Sources, major incident details and quotes have been corroborated by reports from Bleeping Computer, Microsoft's security advisories and blog posts, Cisco's official security bulletins, and expert analysis from outlets like Fierce Healthcare and CyberSecurityNews. These provide further technical context and confirm the severity and responses to each of today's top cybersecurity stories. Please refer to the inline citations for detailed information. BleepingComputer.com, BleepingComputer.com, Microsoft.com, CMD0.io, CyberSeeker, TiNews.com, FierceHealthcare.com. Formatting info below. Label SO optimized tags, copy/paste ready. CyberSecurityNews, InfoSecUpdates, Ransomware Attack 2026, Cloud Security Alert, Microsoft Threat Intel, TikTok Zero Day, Cisco Emergency Patch, CyberThreats Daily, Cybersecurity Spoken by AI, Cyber Breach Report, Dark Web Intel, Pen Testing Tools, Flipper Zero News, Yubica Resale, CyberDefenseTrends, Zero Day Exploits, NetworkSecurity 2026, CyberSecurityAnalysis, CyberSecurity Daily Briefing. Under 500 characters, no controversial flags. Scroll video description, SEO rich plus disclaimer. Cybersecurity News Daily spoken by AI delivers fast, reliable updates on global cyber threats, data breaches, zero-day exploits, and security patches. Today's report covers a major ransomware attack on U.S. hospitals, Microsoft's cloud intrusion warning, a TikTok zero-day circulating on the dark web, Cisco's emergency ASA patch, and 2 trending items, the Flipper Zero Wi-Fi dev board and high-value YubiKey resale units. Disclaimer: this content is for informational purposes only and is not legal, medical, financial, or official advice. Do not treat anecdotal stories or commentary as guidance. Formatting.